Hi friends! Welcome back. I know it's been a little while, but I have exciting news. Today we are recording a Get Ready With Me along with 5 fun facts that maybe not a lot of people know about me. Gonna need this first. Fun fact number 1. I actually competed in pageants before. Shortly after I turned 16, my mom and I talked about the possibility of me doing modeling. If I'm perfectly honest, I'm not really sure where the idea of modeling originally came from because I was not somebody who was super into makeup or fashion or anything like that. But I'm somebody who's always up for a challenge and always willing to try something new. So I said, what the hell? Let's go for it. Modeling then quickly turned into pageantry when my mom and I watched Miss Congeniality for the first time. And naturally, as a child who lives in Delululand, I thought, I could do that. So we found some local pageants near us and decided to send in some applications. 2 of them actually got back to us. One of them we denied the first year because we were allured in by the bigger one. Got in, competed, didn't even make it into semifinals. But the experience did teach me a whole lot about my confidence, my self-worth, and how the beauty standards of the day are actually super harmful. The second pageant was a little bit more low-key and a lot more fun. We had a talent portion that was really fun for me. And I ended up walking away from that with some sort of leadership award. Fun fact number 2. I am half Puerto Rican on my mother's side and half Ecuadorian on my father's side, which is a combination of Caribbean-styled Spanish and South American Spanish. However, I do not actually speak Spanish very well. I speak it very slowly and conversationally, but it takes me a while to actually grammatically figure out how to put the sentences together. My parents actually did not raise my brother and I to speak Spanish by design. They wanted to be able to speak Spanish to each other to hide secret family vacations that they were planning for us. I did take Spanish all 4 years in high school, but the Spanish that they teach you there is more so of the proper Spanish. Caribbean Spanish, like Puerto Rican Spanish, is very slang heavy. South American Spanish is very slow, it's gorgeous to listen to, but a lot of their words are different than the Caribbean or the European Spanish that they teach you in school. I understand Spanish very well, but speaking it is a whole other story. So you can imagine how embarrassing it must be to be a Latina that really doesn't speak much Spanish. Fun fact number 3. While we're on the topic of languages, I do actually speak 2 other languages conversationally / intermediately. The first one is American Sign Language, and that comes from my history of being hearing impaired / half deaf. As a result of losing my hearing when I was 16 years old, I actually ended up graduating from high school and going into college to learn American Sign Language. I took 2.5 years of American Sign Language so that I could learn it conversationally. I also immersed myself pretty heavily in the deaf and hard of hearing communities here where I live. I found out that at one of my local malls, they actually had a deaf gathering every Monday night. So it was a really good opportunity for me to go and sign, learn and practice sign language, not only for the sake of my classes, but for the sake of me actually learning sign language in the first place. The other language I speak very conversationally is Japanese. In watching a ton of Japanese anime and reading a lot of Japanese manga, I was a very big J-pop girly right around the time that Kingdom Hearts came out, and I got exposed to Utada Hikaru for the very first time. And from there, it just kind of exploded. Started listening to artists like Nami Tamaki, Boa Kwan, and Yui. I was singing songs in Japanese, but not really knowing what I was saying. I will say I'm not super great at Japanese, and I haven't really studied it very well over the last few years, but I do still know a thing or two. Fact number 4. One of the biggest reasons I was so against going into modeling at first was because I actually became a martial artist at the age of 11. I started studying Taekwondo shortly after I turned 11. I ended up going all the way to a 2nd degree black belt in nearly 12 years of studying martial arts. Martial arts taught me so much about discipline, confidence, and my self-esteem. And I also say that when I was a martial artist, I was probably in the most peak physical condition I've ever been in. Sometimes I long to be back in the martial arts days. Ultimately, I ended up having to step away from martial arts because of school, but I definitely don't regret it, and I still think it is one of the coolest things I've ever done. Fact number 5. When I was younger, I exhibited some early signs of what my parents thought were ADHD as a kid. They sent some sort of specialist with me to my classroom so that they could examine what I was like during class. As it turns out, I did not have ADHD. I was incredibly bored in my first grade class because I had learned to read from a very early age. And so after I was evaluated, it was suggested that I just skip the first grade entirely. I actually had another opportunity to skip again later on in the third grade. After many conversations and evaluations with both me, my parents, and the doctors, they found out that I was bored in that class too. However, my parents opted to not have me skip third grade because they worried that I would get a little too far ahead, become overwhelmed, and potentially fail. So they told me to power through third grade and just figure it out. I think my parents truly had the right idea when they were thinking about my social skills and how I would get along with everybody else, as well as how overwhelming it could be to take on that much work when I am 2 years ahead. Ultimately, I think my parents knew what they were doing. Shout out to Mama and Papa Sensei. Does anyone know how to put on mascara without your mouth hanging open? Asking for a friend. Here is our finished look for the day. Nothing crazy, just wanted to keep it super natural since I'm not really going anywhere today. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this cheeky little get ready with me, and I hope you learned a thing or two about me that you might not have known before clicking on this video. If you like what you saw today, how about you consider liking and subscribing to my channel? I post things like get ready with me, makeup transition shorts, snippets about a book that I'm writing, and I like to upload VODs from Twitch streams. And if you're interested in my Twitch or any of my socials, I will put all of the links down below. And for the rest of you, mwah! Take my love and my light with you, kiss your pets and your loved ones for me, and don't forget to stay sexy. That part is really, really important. I will catch you guys on the next video. Bye-bye!